welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we're watching episode 59 of Bleach. Yes, only the one episode today, because there's 5 episodes left in the arc, and then we're gonna be skipping a bunch of episodes because of filler stuff. So it just had some weird matching up in terms of numbers anyway, so I thought it would probably be better to do this one episode, and then the last few episodes will be 2 episodes per video. Let's talk about what went on in the last couple of episodes. So we finally got Byakuya versus Ichigo, and it did not disappoint, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, am I stressed because I understand that Byakuya has far more training experience than Ichigo does? Yes. Okay, I want Ichigo to be okay. But also, this has been a fight that has been set up for so long that I'm just so excited to finally be able to see it, you know, progress and get to see them actually fight. And in that, we got to see Byakuya really get to use his Bankai, which I think I'm still saying wrong. Look, my Canadian accent wants everything, every vowel to be an A sound. It's just the way it is. But we got to see him really use his, and the way that he was able to not only create, you know, billions of these little blades, but also was able to manipulate them and make different shapes with them. So we saw him make a cage around Ichigo. We also saw him make a shield to block Ichigo's Bankai, and, you know, just really have more control over them than I thought he would. But it's a really cool Bankai. It's really cool. I like it, begrudgingly, because it's Byakuya and I don't want to like it, but I do. More importantly, we got to see Ichigo's Bankai, which is like this dark blade that he has. It's a lot more compact than what he usually uses. He tends to have a bit of flashy weaponry in that his Zanpakuto tends to be just ginormous, and so this is a bit different for him. And like I was talking about in the last video, it really feels like Ichigo has been able to restrain his power a lot better and concentrate it into like a specific thing, because his sword taking on that smaller shape, but there's far more power behind it, shows that there's more precision to the way that he's using his power, as opposed to how he usually does, which is just kind of letting it burst out of him and hoping that everything turns out okay. So it's really cool to see that progression. Like, even as I was watching the episode, I talked about how much Ichigo's grown as just a character. Like, thinking back to what he was like in the first handful of episodes compared to who he is now, like, yeah, like the core of who he is the same, but I feel like he has taken on the responsibility of the fact that he has this power, and understands that because he has this power, he has more of an impact to help other people. And Ichigo's always been the kind of person to help those who can't help themselves, and to see him really shouldering the weight of that, but doing it in a very, like, mature way, because when he first got the powers of, like, a Soul Reaper, he was very much, like, not committed to it, and he was like, I just want to save my family, and that's it, and, you know, I don't want to go into what a Soul Reaper is and stuff like that. And even when he was like, okay, I'm gonna help people because if I see someone who needs help, I'm gonna help them in that moment, but I'm not gonna, like, search out people that need my help. And I feel like Ichigo has a much wider view of what's going on now. I feel like maybe he's not ready to go like full vigilante or superhero or whatever, but it definitely feels like he understands that the impact of his actions is more than just, you know, his direct surroundings. It's nice to see that kind of progression like gradually happening, but also happening so early on. Like nothing, it wasn't like one big traumatic event happened and then Ichigo completely changed his mind over the course of like a couple of episodes. It was like a bunch of events happening and him having to adapt to those events like throughout this whole arc since Rukia was taken, and him just having to constantly grow and like figure things out and adapt to his environment and the events that are happening around him. It's just well written and I like it. I wanted to point out before we go into that I was talking about how his outfit changed when he used his Bankai, and it was pointed out to me in one of the comments that Renji's outfit also changed, which is true. So I don't know if his outfit changing is a marker of his Bankai being unique in some way, but there is the chain that's on the handle of his Bankai, and that makes me think of hollows, like spirits that have, you know, kind of stuck around. They had that broken chain from their chest. So it makes me feel like there is that reference to hollows again, as we saw with the mask appearing in certain situations. So I definitely feel like there is some kind of connection to his experience of almost becoming a hollow and how that might manifest itself in the way that his abilities and power set work. But it looks like for this episode we are going to be continuing the fight between Byakuya and Ichigo, and we still have to go back to Yamamoto's fight with the two captains, which we've just kind of put to the side for a little bit. So we still have to deal with that, and we also had some stuff with Toshiro trying to get into the Central 46 compound, where there supposed to be some important people and whatnot, and there weren't any guards there anymore, but he couldn't get actually in because the door was locked and like barred off. So we do still have his story and all of the stuff that was going on with Aizen's death. I feel like the stuff with Aizen is gonna be like right at the end. I feel like we're gonna deal with all of the conflicts like Ichigo and Byakuya, and then Yamamoto versus Yukitake and Shinsui and their fight, and then there's gonna be like the stuff with Aizen after that, because Aizen's death is kind of like this parallel plot line that has been happening, and I feel like we're gonna deal with the like fallout of Rukia's execution not happening before that. So with that, let's get into episode 59. In 3, 2, 1, go. We also had the Ichigo friend gang who have finally made it to the execution grounds and are going to maybe be some backup. I don't know about that. I feel like they might just get in the way and that they might get hurt, because if you have two captain level Soul Reapers fighting each other, I feel like you don't want to be caught in the crossfire. But, ooh, I wonder if we're gonna see Toshiro's Bankai soon. Because if it's anything like his Shikai, I'd want to see it. Yes, all of the stairs, which makes me tired just looking at it. I like that Kanji has that one strip of bandages after having like his entire head wrapped in them. Oh no. The poor guy from Squad 11 just gasping for breath. She has just been hanging out. A friend. Also true. His life did take a sharp turn when Rukia showed up. Oh, Byaki looks pissed. Ichigo, again with the head injuries. We've been over this. Someone needs to get that boy a helmet. That's new. Oh, okay, we are trying to kill Ichigo. Good to know. True form. Oh, we're just playing around before? I mean, he might have been, to be honest. It won't? Because you seem to have a thing about attacking someone with a bunch of blades all at once. Who was the first? Because that seems like a story. Is the spirit pressure affecting her? I mean, I think if Ichigo loses, he'll never forgive himself. Because he was pretty hard on himself when he lost last time and they took Urukia. Ugh. Ooh. Sorry, the animation took me. Distracted me for a second. It's just like, having the blade turn like that. You know how hard it is to make a two-dimensional animation look like it's three-dimensional? It's super hard. Especially like before CGI. Or like having CGI used for like main models in animation. The trash talk. Always A plus. Ooh! The heck was that? I mean, he said it, but also explain it to me more. Okay. You can do it, Ichigo. I believe in you. The mask! What? Hold up! Wait! Ah! Wait, isn't that the voice of the white Ichigo? Or am I crazy? What is that? What is happening? Fast. Wait, so did the mask always show up because this was happening? Some weird possession mojo? Ooh, his hair! Oh, fighting back. So hollows are just like corrupted spirits though, right? So like it's like their spirits of like commingled, or is it just like some part of his soul that got corrupted when he was almost a hollow? I don't know what's happening anymore. But I am concern and confusion. Which I feel like is also where Byakuya is at. What, are we just playing that off? Are we just like, let's continue like nothing happened? No? I would have been asking. I'm asking right now. I would have stopped everything and been like, what the heck was that? That is also a good question. What is that? Ugh. There are too many new things being introduced. Isn't your body giving up on you, though? You were literally just possessed. Are we just gonna let that slide? Because I don't want to let it slide. Who's gonna drop first? I mean, they might both drop, but one has to go first, right? The shoulder injuries. Ooh. You don't look too good, Byakuya. Oh, dang. Cut like through his sword. Sinners. But what if they aren't worth enforcing? I believe that. Laws are more like suggestions to Ichigo. Also true. You won't? Just like that? Yeah, like, boy, you don't really have the energy for this kind of thing. Ooh. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, I'm like, alright is like a comparative term at this point. Wasn't any use. You stole those uniforms and you beat up those Soul Reapers to get them? Girl, you got this. Ah, look at Sheta's little smile. Ah. Are we gonna see Toshiro again? Break in. A lot of suspicious things happening. That's what I was saying. I'm like, who's inside though? If it's locked from the inside, someone's probably in there. But who? More stairs? What? Show me. No! Show me! I only have more questions. What just happened? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna let the ending play through. I'm gonna see my preview because gosh darn it, I need to know something about what's gonna happen because we're not watching another episode. I mean, I might watch another episode today. I might film the next video today just so I can see what happens. But I need something and then collect my thoughts. And then we'll talk about it because there are a few things. There are a few new things shown in this episode. My heart rate. Just noticed my heart was pounding more than usual. Whew. Give me something. Is that Kira? Oh, Kira? That was there. Let's discuss. Let's debrief for a second. Okay, I feel like I should talk about Byakuya and his different abilities and like techniques that he was using. We know that he can use like a bunch of different styles and stuff like that. Like he isn't just reliant on his Zanpakuto. He has a bunch of other abilities and fighting techniques that he uses. So we got to see some of that. We got to see all the different blades when he compressed all of the like petals so that they were actual blades. So he could like concentrate more power into them, kind of like how Ichigo's Bankai works. And we also get to see the like wings on him near the end, which is also an interesting trick. Ooh, and the like beam of energy from his finger when he like put that hole in Ichigo's shoulder. I know that there are like different levels to all of the abilities, so there was that too. I mean, definitely expected some of that because Byakuya, like we've talked about before, has a bunch of training and has been fighting for a long time. He has experience. I'm sure that he got a bunch of special training specifically because he was going to be brought up to be like the head of this family. So, you know, some really cool stuff that he has in his arsenal. And I'm sure we'll get to see him fight again because he did somehow end up walking away from that fight. I thought for sure someone was gonna collapse. And I wasn't sure if it was gonna be Byakuya or Ichigo, but neither of them did right away. But also, if we can talk about the elephant in the room, did Ichigo get possessed? Is that what just happened? Did Ichigo just get possessed by a hollow mid-fight? Because what the heck was that? So I knew that him almost getting turned into a hollow had definitely affected him. Obviously. Affected him from like a mental standpoint because it looks extremely painful and like you're literally like having your soul corrupted. So like it couldn't have been good for him in any way. Like it would have been traumatic just to have gone through that experience. But then we also knew that it had affected him in a more deeper way because the Hollow Mask kept appearing when he was in those really stressful and near-death experiences. So we knew that there had to be something else behind what was going on. And then we had the white Ichigo when he was in his internal world talking to Zangetsu. So we knew that there was like something else, some entity lurking in his subconscious. I wasn't expecting it to manifest like that, though. Like, and the, like, black, I don't know, like, energy things with the, like, red around it. I mean, it looked really cool, but also, I'm a little bit terrified that that is a thing that can happen to Ichigo. I mean, he fought back, and he got his body back, but it's kind of like... It makes me think of Greed. So if anybody has seen Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, specifically, because homunculi work different in the first show adaptation, but Greed in FMA Brotherhood, it's like a symbiotic thing, so there's like the host, and then there's Greed, and they're like two different entities that like coexist, and they like switch who's in charge of the body. And I feel like that's kind of what's going on with Ichigo and this other hollow-esque thing that is inside of him. I mean, it seems to know how to use his Zanpakuto better than he does, which is also a little terrifying, but also makes sense, because if they're both, like, chilling in his internal world, they probably know each other a lot better than Ichigo. Because Ichigo's just like, it's a sword. And that's, like, how he's been going about his life for most of this, and it's only recently that he's been like, maybe Zangetsu has, like, a personality, because he's, like, a separate entity, and maybe I should spend some actual time talking to him, instead of just being like, I know his name, that's good enough. Whereas, like, White Ichigo has probably been, like, you know, in that subconscious space for a while. I feel like that's definitely gonna come back. And Ichigo was so casual about it, like, he was just like, this has happened before, so I wonder if we're going to get a flashback to when he was training to unlock his Bankai and see if it's like, like that this is something that has happened to him before that he's like aware of, as opposed to before when the Hollow Mask would show up and he like wasn't aware that something was going on. So I do wonder if we're going to get some kind of flashback that's like he's dealt with this when he was training, and at least he's like aware that there's this other presence, because he didn't seem as freaked out about it as I think it justified. But he did end up shattering Byakuya's blade, and Byakuya conceding the fight, probably because he couldn't keep fighting. I assume that, like, his blade was damaged enough that, like, it wouldn't have made sense for him to keep fighting. Like, he wouldn't have been at full power, and if he wasn't at full power, he didn't have a chance, so he doesn't seem like the kind of person to, like, get into a fight he can't win. They had a bit of a moment where, you know, Ichigo was like, I'm gonna fight against the law because I'm going to save Rukia because she's my friend, and Byakuya kind of realizing that they weren't really fighting each other. Like, it wasn't a personal fight, it was like Byakuya was kind of standing in for what the Soul Society represents, and Ichigo was kind of standing in for what it means to be defiant of that, and to, you know, right one's own morality and stuff, which is what I've been talking about this whole time, about what the conflict is actually about. Like, they're kind of embodying those two sides of the conflict, and it wasn't actually about them personally needing to fight each other. It wasn't like with Yoruichi and Soifeng, where, like, that was a personal fight. It did have some of the, like, greater conflict, you know, confrontations where one was representing the Soul Society and one was representing defiance of it. But there was a personal story to it. Whereas, like, Byakuya and Ichigo, it's really just that Ichigo was, like, fighting him because he's like, you keep upholding these laws, and I disagree with them. And Byakuya was like, you keep disobeying these laws, and I am here to enforce them. So it was less of a personal thing and more of a, like, representing the different factions of the conflict. So at least now Orihime is with Ichigo. I'm sure she'll help with some of the healing that needs to happen. The whole gang has gotten back together, so it looks like we're going to have to get them out of the Soul Society somehow. But we have some kind of grand reveal that's happening with Toshiro I don't know what they saw when they got into the Central 46 compound, like inside of it, but I'm sure that whatever that is going to impede Ichigo and friends from getting out. We saw Gin in the preview. I think we saw Kira briefly in it too. I knew that they were off doing something together. We also saw Hinamori showing up again. I know that she had broken out of her little cell recovery place that she was in and was trying to find answers. So it looks like all of the pieces are kind of coming together for that. Which is, you know, kind of what I said before, where I was like, okay, we're going to deal with some of the, like, you know, one-on-one conflict, and then we're going to deal with, like, the bigger issue, which is Aizen's murder. So we still have to go back to Yamamoto's fight and all that, so I think we'll probably see some of that. Maybe it's happening, like, in the background, and we're not going to see all of it, but, like, that is also something we need to touch back on. And, you know, we're really starting to get into the Aizen mystery. So that'll probably be something for the next 4 episodes. I can't believe we're almost done this arc. Like, I can't even think of, like, how it's gonna end. And then, like, people would have had to wait. That's what I'm thinking, too. I'm like, this arc is gonna end, and then if I was watching this while it was airing, I would have had to, like, wait through, like, 2 arcs worth of episodes of filler before I got back to the story. Man. I'm already upset that I have to wait for the new season to come out, and I haven't even finished what has already come out. So I could only imagine how frustrating it was. But I hope you enjoyed watching this 1 episode along with me. I will be back with 2 episodes in the next videos, so we'll get some more answers happening, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!